Hey everybody, you got the Smoke Meat Podcast here. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. We are sponsored by Joe's Underground in Augusta, Georgia. Every day getting a bit closer to opening back up from this pandemic. Looking forward to it. Jeremy and the gang are so awesome. You got a thing from Jeremy today. You can go on their Facebook page. It's Joe's Underground. They have got the coolest new t-shirts. I've got one on the way. They're so awesome. They really do give a shirt about what's going on. So y'all go over there to Joe's Underground's Facebook page and order you a t-shirt. They're so amazing. You'll love it. Joe's is just such a great place. Great food, great drinks, great people. I mean, Jeremy and the gang make you feel loved when you go in there. It's like a big family. It's the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar building. I goes to Joe's and so should you. Today on Smoke Meat, I am honored to have a guest who I've been following for a long time. Really funny guy. Almost made me wreck my car once. I'll get into that with him a little bit. He is just such a great guy. You've seen him on, Blue Collar Comedy Tour, The Next Generation. You've seen him on Chelsea Lately. And a show called Mobile Home Disaster. Mobile Home Makeover Show. It's really great. Without further ado, we're going to get this thing going. Here is my man, John Caparulo. Call him Cap. Here on Smoke Meat. How you doing tonight, John?
Hey, how are you?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be
talking
twins.
to you finally.
Yeah, definitely. little email been going back and forth.
Yeah. I just had to be curious. I wanted to talk to Brad Pittman my whole life. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's a cool name, man. I'm sure everybody says so, but that's a cool name. But I'm sure you probably get people probably get on your nerves with that after a while, don't they?
It did for a while, and now I just tell them I'm like Brad Pitt, but I'm the man.
You know what? That's cute. I like it.
Yeah, my goal is to get this podcast to get my comedy career big enough to where people walk up to him and say, "Oh, you're almost like Brad Pittman."
That's a hell of a goal. That's a hell of a goal.
I got skills, but I do have the face for radio, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, man.
But no, I've actually had a little bit of a bone to pick with you for a while.
Oh, good. Yeah, let's start off with that.
Yeah, we're going to start off with that.
All right.
I almost wrecked my car because of you about a couple years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was right. I was riding to work and I was listening to, one of your albums, and when you said the words "come inside me," I almost wrecked.
That was a cute one. Yeah, it's funny, because I was racking my brain trying to figure out how to title that particular DVD, album, whatever, special, and I had like 50 titles, and I finally, my wife's like, "Why don't you just call it Come Inside Me?" And I'm like, that's like perfect. Yeah, I mean, because at first, I'm like, no, I can't do that, and I'm like, wait, I should totally do that. So yeah, it was. It's funny enough that that bit, when I think about it, like the setup for that bit that I did where I talked about the Come Inside Me bit, I actually did the setup that I did for that one where I did like the phone sex bit.
Yeah.
Like that comes before that.
Yeah.
Like it's funny because it's like that night, that special was the one and only time I ever did that, like, setup and bit. Like I'd been thinking about it for months before then, because I'm like, that would be a great way to set that up and make it a callback. And I kept talking to my opener at the time, Mark Ellis, about it. I'm like, man, I got to do that, because then it'll make it the bit will make more sense. It'll be funnier. And I just, something about me is like, I'm really bad with rehearsal and working on stuff like that. Like, I just feel like I have to just do it naturally. And somehow I was able to make it work the night we recorded the special, and I never tried it again. So it worked out well.
Yeah, well, that was beautiful. I mean, I loved it.
Appreciate that, brother.
But yeah, I mean, you've been hitting pretty hard for a good long while. I've looked at some of your stuff. The blue collar. I mean, that was a huge thing, and I mean, it still is.
Yeah. Well, the blue collar thing. I mean, what ended up happening there was like I ended up like my manager at the time got hired by the company who managed the blue collar guys, and they were like, well, we're going to do a blue collar the next generation, which yeah, that's a great title, but it's it's like, yeah, it's like Star Trek with a pickup truck, but it's but they ended up doing was they instead of trying to I guess focus on the audience that for blue collar comedy that they had already established, they decided to cast it with their clients. And the thing is like me and Reno Collier were on it, and you know we can kind of hit that wheelhouse. And the other two comics are really good comics, you know, Jamie Kaler and Justin McKinney, funny guys, but they're from Boston. It's like I don't know if that really is gonna, you know, say just the whole thing just didn't ring as true, I think, as the first version of that, which is I think that's why it just didn't take off. So yeah, but it was a cool experience. I mean, Engvall's a nice guy.
Yeah, I love him. My comedy, I always tell people, is kind of a combination between him and Rodney Carrington. If Bill Engvall dropped a bunch of F-bombs, that's me.
Yeah. I like that. That word's my best joke too. Yeah, that's good.
I feel you, man. Hey, there's nothing like a good fuck to just work. I mean, that helps.
It's good for emphasis. I mean, it says I mean it. What I'm saying, I really mean it, because I'm saying I'm shouting cuss words in front of strangers right now. So you better understand how much I mean this.
There you go. Man, I hate for this thing to sound like an interview. I made a bunch of show notes. I've started doing that recently, and I hate for it
it's
to
always
sound
good
like,
to have
so you were born in Massachusetts. You know, I hate that crap. You know.
Right.
And I looked on your website, you know, and I saw your bio, and I do want to thank you for your service. You know, did you get up to Lieutenant Commander in the Old Navy?
That bio, people have just started, like, you know, because I almost forgot about it, and people have been like quoting it like in radio interviews and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't know if you've had to do this yet. I'm sure you have as a comic. It's like, you know, you're always being asked to write a bio, and it's basically, you know, it's basically like promotional literature with yourself as the product.
Yeah.
And I mean, every time I've sat down to write anything like that, I mean, because I've been doing comedy now 23 years, and it's like you start to write about yourself in the third person, first of all, and you start trying to come up with all these like adjectives to, you know, to almost make yourself sound like this, you know, like a reviewer or a member of the press, you know, saying, oh, well, this rising young star is blah, blah, and it's just, you just feel like such a douche, like talking about yourself this way. And the thing is nobody knows except yourself. But it's like, it's a really awful, it just makes you feel dirty and makes you feel like, man, because I mean, nobody has a lower opinion of me than me. It's like, so I'm the wrong guy because I mean, if you watch my act or you hear my comedy, I'm pretty self-deprecating. I mean, because, you know, I think I suck. So it's just like, I take shots at myself all the time. And so then to turn around and try to go, you know, oh, well, you've got to see this guy is just, boy, he's something special. It just feels so fucking terrible. And it's like, so the last time I was forced to write my own stupid bio, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to write something that sounds completely ridiculous. And I think if people get it and understand that it's like, they know I'm being ridiculous with this. Like, you really think when I taught karate to blind children or something, I don't know what it was. I think that I said, I think it started off with, I wanted to be a grizzly bear. Yeah, I wanted to grow up to be a bear, which comes from a real conversation that I had with my wife, that I really do think that children, like thousands of years ago, did aspire to grow up to be a bear. Because you got to figure, you know, right now, like, okay, kids right now look up to athletes and entertainers and stuff like that, because they're on top. I mean, they're in charge of the world. You know, they're the top people in our society. Now, when you take back to thousands of years ago, when people were hunter gatherers and living in the forest, you know, I think that the top dogs at the time were bears. Like, everybody was afraid of bears. Bears would kick your dad's ass. You know, like you know, it's the type, you really look up to bears. You're like, man, someday I'm going to get out of this cave and I'm going to be a bear. And I'm going to show everybody in my little shitty town that I live in the forest, that I'm going to be a bear, and I'm going to scare the hell out of all of them. And I'm going to get all the chicks, because I'm a bear. And yeah, so that's where it came from. But anyway, still, writing a bio like that sounds ridiculous. I think what it does is, I at least tried to do, was I tried to, instead of talking about my comedy, put it on display and go like, this is how my head works. This is my comedy. If you look at this bio and laugh at all at it, then maybe you'll laugh at my comedy. Because I don't think anybody looks at a bio that says, you know, oh, this up and coming young comic is on Chelsea lately or has been on the Tonight Show. Nobody gives a shit. They just want to know if you make them laugh or not. And so that's what I try to do with that.
Yeah, well, you did good, man. Because I read it, and I'm a little bit disappointed right now. You didn't teach karate to blind kids. That kind of hurts me a little.
You know what? I think you should feel better about that.
We're going to have to build up our trust a little more now.
Well, you know, it takes time, but I think I'll get there.
Oh man, so I know you're doing heroes.
I am. Yeah. Well, not today.
Yeah,
but
not today, but you see, I've finally, after 30 years in stand-up, I have finally got an edge on everybody that's over me. You see, everybody's got that, you know, only 10 people in a crowd thing. I can still do shows. And I almost sold one out.
Yeah. That's you know what? I have certain nights still where I guess I'm legal. But this whole thing is a real kick in the balls. So
yeah, definitely.
It sucks. It's frustrating, and it's because I really, you know, I'm like trying to figure out ways that I can adapt to this, and I think I figured out a way, and I'm hoping to put it out pretty soon here. I've been trying to essentially turn myself into a cartoon character for a while, and you know, because I have a animated project I've been working on for a while called Cartoon Comic, and it's you know, I have a comic series. I've been writing episodes for it, but the worst part of it is I can't draw, so so that's a real pain in the ass when you're trying to produce something that's kind of the first requirement. And so I basically have to try to figure out ways to outsource it. And I mean, you know, I don't have unlimited funds either. So, and especially right now where I don't get a paycheck. So so I'm trying to figure out, but I have a talented animator that I've worked with before on some other stuff, and he's working with me on it. So I'm hoping I can put that out actually pretty soon. Cause you know, my series Caplets, I'm trying to do cartoon Caplets now. We have the first one. He's working on the first one. I recorded it, so we'll see how it goes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You know, that's getting a paycheck right now. I've been really lucky through this and unlucky at the same time. I haven't missed a check. I've actually gotten some overtime.
Yeah. What do you do? What's your job?
The downside is I'm a paramedic.
Yeah. That's
being essential sucks.
I would assume, yeah. What is it? Okay, so are you working more now because of this, or less?
I'm working more.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, I'm not one of the overtime hogs in the world, you know. Because whenever I get into that mode, I basically live at work, and I'll get burned out. So I help more when they need me to.
Yeah. I hear you.
I mean, you got people who are getting sick, and you know, just where 6 months ago, okay, I've got a little sinus infection, I got this fever or whatever. If you go in and you have a fever of 100, then nope, you're out till you get tested and all that. So And we've been really lucky. None of our people have gotten it, which I'm ready for this thing to be over. It is so bad, and people aren't taking it serious. They are, but they aren't.
Well, I mean, I'm one of those people. I don't know. I look at it as still. I mean, it's like I look at it. Okay, the way we're treating this whole thing, this pandemic, whatever, is we're treating it like we're like, okay, like have you ever seen 28 Days Later?
Yeah.
Or World War Z?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's shit to be afraid of. Like, or Ebola.
Yeah.
If this was Ebola, and because Ebola is lethal shit. Somebody sneezes on you and you basically catch on fire.
Yeah, they may as well be sneezing a bullet at you.
What's that?
They may as well be sneezing a bullet at you.
Right, exactly. They might as well be a dragon. And so it's like, so that's the type of disease where it's like, that inspires fear. That's the type of thing that's like, oh shit. Like, if you get that thing, you got basically the clock's ticking. You got like 24 to 48 hours before you croak.
Yeah.
That's scary. This thing is too wishy-washy. It's like, okay, it's not like the flu, but it seems to have all the characteristics of the flu. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I mean, I just look at it like, oh yeah, it is something that's definitely being passed around. It's definitely something, but it's something that still, the odds are, if you contract the coronavirus, you will most likely survive.
Oh yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing, I think, for everybody, is that, like, okay, is this really worth shutting the entire world down? I mean, because, I saw, like, the governor of Nevada here said that, well, we don't want you to have to risk your life to go to work. We do that every day.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's called the world.
It's like, people die in car accidents all the time. We don't stop driving. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's what's so really aggravating about this whole thing, is like, if this was a virus, like if this was World War Z, where you could see zombies trying to get in your house and bite your face, that's the reason to go, oh yeah, hey, we better call a snow day. I get it. But it's like, if it's just like, okay, this is a sniffle, it's a different kind of sniffle, it might be a little bit more aggressive than your typical sniffle, but, I mean, is it any worse than swine flu was? I mean, I'm asking you as a medical professional.
Well, like, if me or you got it, I could probably fight it off. I'm overweight, I smoke and all that, but I can probably fight it off. The rub on it is, if it's so contagious that you can give it to somebody that can't fight it off. And sure. I think do I think there needs to be a total shutdown of everything? No. Right. I don't, but I think people just need to have some common sense.
Right, and I think that applies regardless. I think, I mean, we shouldn't have to have billboards that say wash your hands.
Yeah.
Like, you should just wash your hands. It's like, it's like, that's something that should really be a given anyway, but it's like, so I think if people just exercise, like, you cover your cough, cover your sneeze, of course, Yeah,
I mean, we were taught this in kindergarten. Yeah,
it's like stuff like that. It's like, it's are we really doing that because of the certain section of the population who doesn't understand basic human decency? It's like, really? Is that why we're all not working?
I'm still curious about the toilet paper thing.
The toilet paper thing? What is that again?
Where everybody has bought so much toilet paper that it's like freaking gold, man. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, every time I go, because that's the thing too, is, during this whole thing, I've gone to Walmart at least once a week because they sell Milo's sweet tea, and that is my life's blood.
Dude, that's the fuel that's running our house.
Yeah, man, that's good shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, every time I go to Walmart, the paper towels are gone. It's like they had a fire in the paper towels and the toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough, I have a bidet seat, so I'm good. I basically use toilet paper like litmus paper. You
can't hide money, I'll tell you.
But it really is, I don't get it either. Like the just the sudden rush on paper towels, toilet paper. I don't get it either.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost on that one, and I'm a prepper. I don't prep for the government to come get me because if they want me, they're going to come get my ass no matter what I
Exactly.
got.
Right, right,
I
right.
prep for things like this, hurricanes, all that crap. Nothing over the top. Just we have food.
Yeah. No, I hear
And
you. I'm one that, yeah, it's like I need to have stock of things that I need. But yeah, I get you.
watching these people that is killing me. Right when it first kicked off, I took my daughter to my wife's job, which was about 30 miles away, because they were going to go to her house in Thompson to get her senior pictures made.
Hmm.
And on the way home, I stopped at one of the little grocery stores by the house. I was give me a pack of hot dogs for supper. And just
Hmm.
watching these people, I got my pack of hot dogs and I walked around this grocery store for a fucking hour, just
Hmm.
watching. And I started to just go find something just off the wall, like, help no pest strips, something like that. Put about 10 of them in my buggy and walk around just to see if everybody just went and got all of them. Because
Yeah,
it was so
yeah,
funny. People were buying shit that just, oh man. And it don't make
yeah.
any sense. We go to the grocery store, like I say, when we need something, we go to the grocery store and get it.
Yeah. Well, plus, it's been ever since this thing started. Like I said, I've been to Walmart probably once a week, and Walmart's packed
Yeah,
every time I go there. Like, and it's like this whole thing where it's like, okay, we're doing this whole lockdown thing to prevent the spread of the virus, but it's like you can't selectively shut shit down like that. It's like, because if you're gonna still keep certain places open, people are just gonna crowd those places more, and then you're gonna have the same problem. I mean,
yeah,
I look at it, it's kind of like the war on drugs, where it's like, you know, we're supposed to be fighting the spread of this virus, but while we're supposedly fighting it, it's getting worse.
yeah,
So our methods obviously aren't working. So what's the point?
yeah. Yep, most definitely.
But I'll get off my soapbox now.
Oh, I can dig it, man. I can dig it. I'm all over it. Now I did watch, like I say, I've actually prepped for this one a little bit, and
Okay.
uh, I saw mobile home disasters, and I saw one clip that just was awesome. Uh,
Okay.
the seance.
Okay.
You looked like you were expecting the shit from Beetlejuice to pop out of the shrimp cocktail cups on that thing. Were you really nervous during that part of it?
Um, no, I actually, I mean, I thought it was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just played it. Um, I thought I was gonna. Basically, everything I did was essentially sarcastic. I think in that moment,
Yeah.
I'd have to rewatch it myself to see what I was doing, but because I don't watch me much. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, the one thing I'll say about that show was I did not expect that to be an enjoyable experience. Like
Mm-hmm.
when they offered me the chance to host that show, I really was like, sounds like a lot of people hugging me and shit. And
Mm-hmm.
this just sounds like it's going to be way too heavy for my sensibility. But man, that show was a lot of fun. I was actually mad when we didn't pick up and do a second season.
Mm-hmm.
It was because of the economic crash happened at the same time in '08. But that was it really was. They really did let me do whatever I wanted on there. They were like, whatever you think is funny, go ahead. We'll film it. You just basically have to. The only thing I had to do was the nuts and bolts. Was basically, the reveal of the house and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of homemaker over type standard shit. So, but other than that, it was like, I mean, they just let me go, and yeah, it was one of the most fun experiences I've had working in any sort of TV, situation, anything non-stand up as far as that goes. It was great. It really was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, I've done, like I said, I've done stand up for a long time, and I've never gotten big because I've never put into it what needs to be put into it. I've done it
Right,
just
right,
to
right.
get up, make people laugh, and have fun with it, and
Hmm.
uh, I kind of regret not getting big because, duh. But at the same time, during all this stuff that where we can't get up on a stage right now, I'm finding things out that, like I say, different things to do, and the podcast is one of them. I've been
Yeah,
getting a lot more guests lately and just having a really good time with it. And I've got some characters that I started doing on YouTube.
yeah.
And
Okay.
holy crap, they're all one take and they're all improv.
Yeah, yeah.
And there is one, he's a clown. Holy crap, he's horrible. He is so bad. His name's Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Murray's voice. And I actually got that clown. When I was on the fire department, I taught public safety to kids as a clown. I'm actually certified as a clown.
Okay.
And I quit using that voice because it lends itself to cussing really bad. And I didn't want to get up in front of 1,000 third graders and go, "Okay, you little bastards, don't play with fire."
Right.
Yeah.
It's that would probably violate your agreement somehow.
Yeah, which I'm in Georgia. It ain't nothing I ain't never heard, but not from a
True,
clown.
true.
But I'm always looking for different ways to find a good outlet because I love making people laugh. And what's really bad is whenever, I don't know if you do this or not, when you're writing material or whatever, if you're sitting down knowing you're going to put something together,
Yeah.
that's when all the best specials come out. And I can't watch them because I'm writing because I don't want to subconsciously take something.
Yeah. It's one of those things like that's one of the things, I guess, the downside though for me of being in like having my own residency show in Vegas is I really haven't watched another comedian other than a few times. I've made a few road trips since I started here in Vegas a couple years ago. I mean, I made probably, I don't know, maybe 10 trips since I moved here, probably less than that. But it's like, other than that, I mean, my show is just me on stage. I mean, I don't even have an opener here in Vegas. And so it's like, it does kind of, I mean, I understand your point of view where it's like, yeah, you don't want anybody else's stuff influencing your stuff to a point where, you feel like maybe what they say or do sort of bleeds into your set. And of course, nobody wants to do that. I mean, and it is something you run the risk of when you're around or you watch other comedy, but it does help you to just, it helps. I'm finding I kind of miss hearing those other voices just to sort of get my own creative juices flowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it does really help in that sense to just hear other people talk so you can remember what your voice sounds like, as in comparison, because that's what I always loved about being, at the Comedy Store in LA and everything, or all those clubs that you're doing showcase lineup shows was, you always had those other voices that you heard and sort of just, it goes, oh, wait, I understand that point of view, but here's how my point of view is different. And that was always so cool about that. So I do kind of miss that myself. Yeah. But I understand your point of view there. I get it.
Yeah, and, I know one of my favorite ways to write, it kind of like you in your bio, if I've got to sit down and just, I'm here in my little studio and got my laptop or got my pad in front of me. I used to carry around the notebook, every comic's had it.
Yeah, and, that's my phone now.
Yeah, and write down one sentence, and I'll remember that later. Have you ever gone back and looked at some of your old stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fucking insane.
It looks like a whole bunch of nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at one of them and it said, her puss looked like someone blew up a roast beef sandwich behind a dumpster. I'm like, what the hell? Just things like that. But when I sit and write, try and do it myself, I just get locked down. But I love getting with other folks and just writing because when I do that, I actually write more for them than I do myself.
Right. I think it's probably in that sense, it's just easier at that point to understand because we can look at somebody else and sort of understand their voice easier than you can understand your own a lot of times because you're not watching yourself. So it's that's probably why that's easier. But it's I understand what you're saying though. Like as far as like I've never been one, especially with my stand up. I've never been one that I can sit down and like go, all right, let me write a new bit. Mm-hmm. It sort of just has to come naturally as far as like in conversation or when I was doing caplets every month, it was I after the first few months I had run out of stuff that was sort of in my bag of tricks. So I literally was just going through my notes in my phone with my wife in the car, just going, just running it by her going, and if she laughed, I'd be like, all right, I can build on that. And yeah, it's really, that's something I've had to, sort of accept over the years that I can't conventionally sit and write stand up. I have to be able to write it on, sort of in a natural flow of a conversation or on stage.
Yeah.
You know, it seems to come out the best that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I, I have a good outline of what I'm going to do when I go up. And
Right.
I've never been that guy that, like I say, I don't memorize everything, you know, and get mad if I switch two words between two sets. It's like I'm pitiful, you know.
Right.
And for me, those shows actually go better because, like I say, they flow. That's more natural. I'm not sitting up
Yeah.
there reciting the pledge, you know.
Yeah. I think especially when you get into a memorization situation, it never sounds right. It just sounds like recitation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had people ask me a lot after shows. They'll be like, you know, did you just come up with whatever tonight? And I'm like, you know, and it's like, because I think a lot of my delivery kind of sounds like that, but it's like the reason why it sounds like that is because if I didn't necessarily come up with that bit tonight, I came up with it that way on a different night. So it's basically, I'm just trying to recapture the way I came up with it in the first place, which was spontaneous at some point. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
it's you know, yeah, it's like if it sounds spontaneous, it's because it was at some point. You know, it just might not be now.
Yeah.
But it's I'm trying to recapture that when it was. So that's the whole hook.
Oh, cool deal. Well, I just went totally blank. Man, I hate when that happens.
Oh, it happens to me several times a day. It's all good.
Yeah, welcome to my world. But yeah, I've listened to, you know, a bunch of different podcasts. I've got to where I listen to those on the way to work now. And of course, whenever we started emailing back and forth, you know, I said, I'm gonna find John on some podcasts. You know, let me see if I can find him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one thing I usually don't do politics on mine, and this ain't really politics.
Right.
But every podcast has mentioned it, and I would be breaking the law somehow if I didn't. You know exactly what I'm about to ask about.
What, when the woman threw the glass at me?
Yep.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was a couple months after Trump got elected, so it was early 2017, and I was recording that episode of Caplets, you know, and if you're unfamiliar with Caplets, it was a series I did online where I did new material every 30 days. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, you know, that was episode number 36, actually. So by then it was like I really was writing everything in the car on the way. So it was, you know, I was really trying to keep a lot of new material straight in my head. And before I went up that night, they said that there was a woman in the front row. She was being kind of a pain in the ass. And I was like, well, why don't you kick her out? And they're like, well, she hasn't done anything necessarily that we can pinpoint to kick her out for, but she's just be watch out for her.
Yes,
and
that's
you know,
club owner language for she's buying top shelf.
I don't even know if it was that. I think it was more like, I think they just didn't want to deal with the I guess maybe I don't know, because the thing is the aftermath of the situation leaves even more questions. So it was, I went on that night. I was probably, I don't know, 5th or 6th up. I remember Arsenio Hall was a couple comics before me that night, and he went up and he said he made he did a couple jokes about Trump, and they weren't pro-Trump by any means. And I know that the woman in the front row, like, said a few things to him, interrupted his set, and he was talking to her, but, you know, there was no real ruckus over it, so everybody just moved on. And I'm just trying to keep my set straight. So they had told me about that woman, but I wasn't really thinking about it. And so I go on, and, you know, I was a couple minutes into my set, and I did the bit the bit that upset her so much was, you know, I was talking about how architecture is kind of lost on me, and that I don't really get it the way some people get it, I guess, because, you know, I said, you know, because I was talking about, I had just come back from St. Louis, and I was talking about the St. Louis Arch. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a nice arch, but it's a fucking arch. You know, it's like it's not really that creative. You know, I mean, it's just an arch.
Yeah.
And then I said the Washington Monument. I said it's a big pencil. It's a giant cement pencil, and that's it. I said some people think it looks like a dick, but I thought that they were reserving that design for Trump's statue. And the whole place, I mean, the joke killed. It was I don't even think Trump would be mad about that one. It was just kind of funny. It wasn't really a personal political attack. It was just like, he's a dick. I think he knows he's a dick. So it's like, it's not that big a deal. But this woman, like, it was like she just came straight from one of those friggin' Hitler rallies that dude was holding. So like she just gets up. She was with another woman. They were probably in their late 50s, early 60s maybe. And she gets up, and the woman with her just gets up and starts walking out. It was basically like that was the last straw for her. She didn't want to hear any more shit about Trump or whatever. And then the other woman, she gets up and she just starts pointing at me and yelling, "Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you." And on the third "fuck you," I snapped back at her. I was like, "No, fuck you, stupid." And then, you know, she's yelling shit at me. I'm trying to, like, you know, deal with it. And, you know, mind you, I'm still recording my Caplet episode. You know, at that point, I've got, you know, I had to pay a camera crew to come here. I've got professional shit to do right now, and this woman is just hijacking my set because I crossed her political views, which is such bullshit. It's like, you've got to know when you go to a comedy show, you might hear some shit you fucking disagree with. Yeah. And it's like, you're just going to have to roll with it. It's comedy. That's what it is. And so she's yelling at me. She's, you know, I mean, and the thing that set her off, I guess, was, you know, I told her to suck my balls, which I'll admit, I don't have a lot of conversations end well from saying that. I mean, most people don't go, "Oh, you know what, John, you were right. I'm sorry." They usually get pretty pissed off from that. But when I told her, I said, "On your way out, remember, you can suck my balls." And she decided to pick up a glass and throw it at me. And if you watch the video, you'll notice that I don't move a muscle. That happens. It's like I literally just trusted my belly to absorb the blow, and it did. I mean, it didn't break or anything. It just sort of bounced off me. And, you know, it was a really nasty situation. I mean, and you know, to be honest, like, after, you know, when it happened, I mean, obviously it was something I didn't want to happen, or would I want it to happen again? But I was actually proud of what I did in that set, because it was like, you know, because it got really ugly. After she threw the glass at me, I mean, people were yelling at her for the most part. And I mean, she wasn't the only pro-Trump person in the audience. You could tell that, but she was the only one acting like that. Yeah. And so after she threw that at me, it's kind of a showstopper. I mean, people were like really angry, yelling at her. She's walking out, and people are, you know, and, you know, what I was able to do, because I really felt like at that point the show was just going to have to end. And it was at that point, it was like I was able to get everybody to laugh again. And I finished my set, and I brought the next guy on. I mean, now that I remember, actually, I think I was ninth or something in the lineup that night, because there were two more comics after me. And we finished the show, which I really was proud of, that I ended up, you know, as a professional comedian, as a whatever degree black belt that I have in this art, I felt like I was able to demonstrate those skills that night. And, you know, the thing that really, you know, and so after the set, though, is when, you know, I remember the management of the club is like, "Hey, do you want to press charges against her?" And I went, "Nah." You know, at the moment I was still high on adrenaline, and I'm like, "Man, I don't want to see her again. Whatever, just so what?" And they said, "Okay." So, you know, I do the recap segment with my wife, and then as I'm walking out, the club, the talent coordinator at the club, and this is a club that, you know, it was the Hermosa Beach Comedy and Magic Club down South LA, and I mean, that club, I had been going there for 12 years. They treated me like I was a son there. Like, it was next to the Comedy Store. It was like my home. And the owner was on the phone and he starts grilling me about like, well, what happened? What'd you do? And I expected him to just go, hey, I'm sorry that happened to you. You're not hurt, are you? And then move on. But it was like, he was like interrogating me. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? And I said, but it's no big deal. I said, I said, I made the best of it. We got a good capless episode out of it. So we'll just move forward. And he's like, oh, you can't. I don't want you to post that online. And I was like, why? He's like, well, because it might make you look bad. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, he obviously was worried about his club, but he just thought he was being more, I don't know, a sly.
Trying to spin it, you know.
Right. And I was just like, what are you talking? So I said, so at the time I said, you know what, look, it always takes us a few weeks to, you know, for my Fred to get it edited and, you know, for us to get it ready to post. So why don't you watch the video of it in the meantime, and then we'll reconvene before we post it. Mm-hmm. And we said, fine. Cause I'd been on the phone with him for like 45 minutes. I was like, I don't want to go over this anymore. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to be done with it. So anyway, so then within a couple of days though, word gets around and I ended up like, they end up wanting to put the clip on TMZ. And I'm like, I know that this clip doesn't hurt that club, because if it did, I just wouldn't do it. Yeah. I mean, I just knew it was like, it's not that big a deal. I'm sure he's watched the tape and, you know, I'm sure he's fine with it. It's not a big deal. I'm like, I'm not going to stall this process. I'm going to let him go ahead. They interviewed me on TMZ for it. It was a moment that I didn't want, you know, to let pass by since I gone through a pretty nasty situation. I felt like I made the best of it. Fuck yeah, I wanted it on TMZ, of course. So, and that ended up being like a whole like thing with the club. Like, you know, he was mad at me because it still went up, and like he ended up like suspending me for the club. Mind you, they never apprehended the woman who threw the glass at me. I'm like, what happened to her?
She was exercising her rights, man.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they said it's up to you if you want to press charges, but you know, you're the one who has to get them. I'm like, what? I said, if I was a lamp, you would have had her arrested. I mean, because that's destruction of property, but she throws shit at me and it's fine. I'm like, what? Why wouldn't you do something about that? I mean, you don't have to just protect me. You have to protect every comic on your stage. What are you talking about? And I you know, and they're like, well, we're still mad because, you know, you didn't clear it with us to go put that on TMZ. And I was like, wait a minute. So when it comes to it being a legal situation, it's a me problem. But when it becomes a PR situation, it's a we problem. And I'm like, that's not cool at all. And I was like, fuck that, dude. That situation it was ugly, and it really, you know, yeah, it was disappointing. The way people can, you know, and I never really understood why, you know, they were so, I mean, because I'd always been such a, you know, like I said, they treated me like a family member, and then they just suddenly turned on me like that. And I don't know if there were other factors to that situation that I'm not aware of that maybe played into it, but it was, because I would think, because anybody who looked at it, common sense said to them, I didn't do anything wrong. I handled it like a pro, and it was only to the club owner and the talent coordinator. They were the only ones saying, no, well, you know, you were kind of wrong for telling her to suck your balls. And are you kidding me?
Now, if you had gone ahead and come off the top rope with the stool, I could see it, but I was kind of proud that you didn't.
I held back because I mean there was a moment there where I'm like, I'm gonna hit this woman with a stool, and then I put it down because I'm like, I'm not that guy. I wouldn't do that, and I just but it was just a situation where I was like, wow, you guys really sold me out over this, and I really thought you guys were my friends, and it was tough. It was a tough situation to go through, and I've never been back to that club since. I mean, if you watch Caplets, that was the last one I did there, and then after that, it was we had to move our operation. But yeah, it was tough. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, and you know what? And it's funny, you know, I thought about, you know, asking you about this because, you know, on here, the one thing I stay away from is politics, you know, and not because I can't talk about them with anybody, because I mean you can if you're them simple grown up and pay attention. I mean, we can have differing views. I don't think everything the president does is great, no matter who it is, and everything's not bad. I mean, it's a person.
Right.
And I said, fuck it. This is just too amazing not to mention.
Well, of course, yeah.
And I hate people like that.
I think the problem for me, a lot of my fans, I think, looked at it like, the ones who were maybe didn't like it were like, they don't expect me to get into politics, which I understand that. And I've kind of, had to realize that too since that situation. Because I remember, when I did that bit on Catholics, about Trump, when I did that bit, I kind of felt like, because of the sort of the climate at the time, the sort of just, the political climate, everybody was sort of really up in arms about it. I felt like I wasn't doing my duty as a comic to sort of do a set and ignore that element of life, because it's such a big deal to everybody. So I felt like if I'm not talking about that sort of thing, I felt like maybe I'm not being as honest as I should be with the audience. But then I realized after a while, it just, especially once I came to Vegas and started doing my show every night, I felt like, people don't really want to, it's not fun for them, even if they agree with what you're saying, it's just not that fun for them to get into politics right now. It's like, it's something that they're trying to sort of escape from, especially with comedy.
Yeah.
That it's not like the 60s or 70s when people, wanted to use it as sort of a, sort of soapboxery was sort of a good thing to do. On stage as a comic. But now people are just sort of like, nah, I don't want to get into that. Just let's ignore that and just laugh about other shit. So, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, it is what it is. It's just, it's not something though that, I don't get into politics too much. I never have, because, I know more about history than I do about news. So I guess that's probably it. You're going to talk about JFK? Let's talk about it. But
well, no, that's a big conspiracy.
I can't get it. But current day politics, like, I don't know shit. Unless,
Yeah, I mean, it changes from minute to minute. So I just stay the hell away from it.
Yeah.
True. The people who are passionate about it are real passionate about it. They're glass throwers. Yeah.
It becomes off-putting. Yeah.
So, fuck that. Oh man. Well, I tell you, I've had a great time talking with you, man. I definitely have.
Yeah, definitely.
I had a guest the other day. I interviewed Robert Wall, and he asked me a question that kind of hit home with me. Because we're in the apocalypse and all that right now. What would your final prison meal be if you were in death row? And that was just such an awesome question. So I'm going to pass that one along.
My final prison meal, you know what? I guess it would have to be, probably. I was gonna say, part of me wants to say an enormous bucket of chicken from KFC, because the thing about KFC is, like, the reason why you don't eat it is because you're trying to live. And it's like, like I remember one day I stopped at KFC. I thought my wife and daughter, they were gone somewhere one day. It was like a year or so ago, but they were gone one day, and I knew I was on my way home, and I knew they would be home when I got home, and I was like, I'm gonna stop and get a bucket of KFC, because I figure nobody's gonna see me eat it. So it's cool. I'll eat it. I'll get rid of the evidence. I'll put it in the trash can outside. Nobody will see it. And the thing is whatever they were going to do ended early, and they came home, and I'm there with a thigh in my mouth, covered in grease, and I really felt like my wife had walked in on a suicide attempt. like where it's just so embarrassing. Like, hi. I was about to erotically asphyxiate myself, and I didn't realize anybody was coming home. But boy, this is embarrassing. So because it really does. It just shows, like, hi, I'm eating KFC, and I've officially given up on life. So yeah, I'm gonna eat this, and I just don't want anybody to see it. So that I would say that's probably I'm probably inclined to go there with my last meal, but yeah, probably that. I was thinking, my favorite food in the world is mall food court chicken teriyaki from Sakio or Sarku, one of those.
Mm.
That's phenomenal. So
Oh,
there's part of me that wants to eat a big barrel of fucking mall chicken teriyaki, but I might have to go with the KFC because fucking I'm not gonna live past that day. So yeah.
what if KFC made chicken teriyaki? Holy shit!
Uh nah, I don't want the
If they
Colonel getting
partnered
all
with it.
fucking exotic on me. Nah, they don't need to mess with a good thing. So yeah. So yeah. But if I have two last meals, definitely those two. But yeah, probably I'll probably go with the suicide attempt KFC bucket. So yeah.
I understand. I'm, I'm
What would
almost
yours be? What was it?
mine. The joking part of me says, and I actually got this one on Facebook a while back. The Popeyes chicken or Popeyes biscuit with no drink. Because
Mm-hmm.
fuck the state, they're not killing me. I'm going out on my terms.
Yeah.
But
Popeyes is good shit too. Yeah.
oh hell yeah! But
Yeah.
oh no, they're biscuits, man. Dude, they're biscuits. You could build a wall out of those biscuits.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
them bitches are
Yeah.
drier than a popcorn fart.
Yeah. You don't. Yeah. You definitely don't want to let those get cold.
Yeah, but mine changes from day to day. Today I'm in the mood for a brisket. I haven't smoked a brisket in a while, and I'm kind of in the mood for one of those.
I don't know if I've ever had a smoked brisket.
What?
I don't think I had. You know why it is? Because brisket to me it doesn't sound like meat.
Yeah.
It sounds like bread. So every time I hear somebody like, "Oh, my aunt makes this wonderful brisket," I'm like, "A brisket? Like that just sounds like a loaf of something," and it just doesn't sound like what it is. So that's why I've always been thrown off by brisket.
I can dig
They
it.
should have just named that, meat slab or something, and then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm down for some meat slab. Let's have some slab."
Oh yeah, and either that or smoked whiskey burger. I haven't made any of
Smoked
those in a
whiskey
while.
burger, huh?
Oh,
Okay. I don't know if I've had one of those.
it'll kill you quicker than the KFC. I
Well,
put
then I'm
this
down. Yeah, I'm
I
down.
put this burger in a damn 6 by 2 inch pie pan, or not pie pan, but a cake pan to pat the burger out.
Yeah.
Poke holes in it, pour bourbon on it, let it soak in, then put brown sugar on both sides. Put it in the smoker for half an hour, and then finish it off on the griddle so that brown sugar caramelizes.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Really? Do you go medium rare or do you go?
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
medium rare to
Okay.
medium on my burgers. On like regular
See,
meat, like steaks and stuff. Oh, just
but do you like the taste of booze though?
well, the thing with the doing it like that, you cook all the alcohol out of it, so you just get the little taste, the essence of it.
Okay.
But yeah, the actual taste of whiskey and bourbon, I'm not a huge fan of. If
No,
I do drink,
I
I'm just maybe a sip or two with a good cigar.
right.
But cooking
Yeah,
with it, oh yeah.
I feel like we're that episode of South Park where where Randy called Food Network phone sex, and they were just describing food to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Now that, yeah, put some cream fraiche on it."
Outstanding. Oh man. Well, like I say, man, I've had a ball. I want to stay safe out there. And
Yeah, man, me too.
keep the wife and kids safe. I saw the video of your daughter teaching you to wash your hands. That was awesome.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, I got a new one where we're painting a sun catcher, so that'll be out soon.
Yeah, I've got two daughters. They're not nearly that young. No,
Yeah.
one's 19 and one's 17, and
Oh man.
yeah, I wish they were
Yeah.
still that small and cute. But
Ah,
they stay awesome though.
she's the. I never really saw myself as a parent before her, but I mean, she's the best thing in the world. So yeah, I can't help but smile every time I'm around her, and it sounds so corny. And every time I hear somebody talk about it before I was a dad, I was like, shut the fuck up. But
Yeah.
man, it really does, man. It's real shit, man. When it's your kid, wow, yeah, just
Yeah.
does something to you. I love that kid. I love that kid.
Yeah. And
So
what's
yeah,
bad
man.
is right now you're buying her things, and that's fine. I mean, hell, I still buy my kids things because they're my kids.
Of course.
Right now, you buy the little cute kid things. Last night I'm at work, and it's probably 1 in the morning. My phone goes off, and it's a text from my youngest daughter. I'm like, oh shit, she'd never text me this time of night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have been watching fucking Honey Boo Boo, the new Mama June thing.
Oh no.
And the people who market this are geniuses because they had every episode from season 1 through 4, except for season 3. And to quote my daughter, that's where all the good stuff happens. Can we get it off Amazon, Dad?
Oh yeah. That's smart shit.
$20 to watch Honey
Fucking
Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo. Yeah.
And what's bad
really,
is,
I remember when that show came out. I'm like, I've been working for how many years to get a fucking TV show,
yeah.
and really, this shit. It's like, man, it's a really sobering moment. It really is. It's tough, but yeah.
What's bad is I probably live 10 miles from them. That's the thing. Where I work at, they go to the Walmart there.
I bet they do.
I stay the hell out of that Walmart.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
but just love on her, man. Enjoy them while you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
All right, brother.
get off of this thing, man. We've done almost an hour, and I've had a ball.
Well, hey, it's great talking to you, brother. Yeah, man. Anytime, Ed, we'll talk again. Talk again sometime.
And if you need voices for your cartoon, I do about 10,000 of them.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, brother.
Like you've never heard that one before.
No, not today. So that's cool.
There you go.
All right, man.
Cap, well, I appreciate it, man. Good talking to you.
Take care, man.
You too.
All right, man.
Bye.
Later.